Back when I was a kid, I grew up watching all the X-Men movies, playing with the action figures, and I even read a good portion of the comics. And recently, X-Men 97 Season 2 came out with 3 brand new episodes. And I've also heard people say that X-Men the Animated Series is quote-unquote the most faithful adaptation to X-Men ever put on live television. And since I've never really watched X-Men the Animated Series, nor 97, I decided to check it out. And after watching the first season of the animated series, I gotta say, it's pretty fucking good. But today we're not gonna be talking about the pros and cons of the first season and my ratings and opinions about it. No, today we're gonna talk about something different. Today we're gonna be talking about what made the first season of X-Men really good and how you can implement those same lessons into your TV shows to make it really successful. You know, how to make a good first season. Anyways, on to the video. See, the X-Men team consists of multiple characters. You see, we have Professor X, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Gambit, Rogue, Wolverine, Beast, Storm, Jubilee, and Morph. That's a total of 10 whole characters that you have to introduce and develop throughout the course of 13 episodes. And each episode's only like 20 minutes. So yeah, you don't really have enough time to develop and introduce all these characters. Which is why in the first X-Men movie, you know, X-Men 2000, there was only like 4 to 5 members in the X-Men. Because there's just too many characters to introduce. Because that's impossible. But yet it works in the show. Why? What did they do? Well, I have the answer to that. You see, there's only 3 ways you can actually do this properly. And the first way is having Jubilee as your anchor. And when I mean by anchor, I mean as your main character to introduce us to all the other characters. Let me give you an example. You see, we follow Jubilee, a normal teenage girl who all of a sudden gets mutant powers and is forced with the discrimination and racism against mutants. You know, she's being treated unfairly and she has no idea how she got her powers and how to control them. And then at the mall, while she's being discriminated, she runs into the X-Men. And it's through her that we get to meet the X-Men and are properly introduced to who they are and how they have their powers and what mutants are in general. You see, we're just like Jubilee in this situation. We don't know who the X-Men are. We don't know what powers they have. We don't know how many members there is. We don't know what mutants are. And we don't know how to control our powers. We're just as clueless as Jubilee. And through that, they get to give exposition. Proper exposition that doesn't sound like boring and just a waste of time, but actual proper entertaining exposition that helps us into finding who these characters are and answering our questions properly. But we ran into a second problem, and that is what they can do throughout the whole season, you know? How to keep them productive, how to keep them motivated and have like good character development. I mean, you cannot develop 10 whole characters in the span of 13 episodes because that's low-key impossible. But there is a way, and that way is sidelining. Yes, sadly, you're gonna have to sideline some characters, and there's 3 characters from the X-Men that do get sidelined, which is Jean Grey, Beast, and Morph. Morph gets killed instantly by the Sentinels, and we don't see him throughout the whole season because, you know, he's dead. But Beast, on the other hand, he gets arrested and captured by, you know, the police and government and is locked up in jail. And you might be like, well, why don't they just free him? Well, you see, there's a good reason, and we'll get to that later. But right now, he's just in jail. And Jean Grey, on the other hand, she just gets sidelined completely. I mean, she does have her own character moments throughout the season, like that one episode with the Morlocks, with Cyclops, and the whole love triangle between her, Cyclops, and Wolverine. But there's literal episodes where she's not even in the episode at all. Even if you have one character that's getting sidelined, as long as you have a bunch of characters carrying your show, you should be fine. And this is shown in X-Men a lot. We have a lot of characters carrying the show, like Professor X, Wolverine, Cyclops, Rogue, Gambit, Storm, etc. You know, like we have a lot of characters shining throughout the whole show, which is fine, you know, if you have like one character like Jean Grey getting sidelined, because then you can develop Jean Grey later on in other seasons. And last but not least is the theme. How do you introduce the theme of your season, you know? The moral, the lesson in this whole season. And that is done really well in X-Men. The theme for X-Men is mutants versus humans, and how mutants want to coexist with humans, and how mutants are being treated unfairly, how the racism towards mutants is unfair. It's injustice. You know what I'm saying? And the Sentinels being the main bad guys is a perfect way to carry that theme throughout the whole season, because the Sentinels were created by humans who feared mutants and wanted to eliminate them. And having them being as the main bad guy and carrying it throughout the whole show fits perfectly. And remember Beast? Remember he's in jail and whatnot? Well, the reason why he doesn't want to be freed is to prove to humans that not all mutants are evil and that mutants and humans can live together in peace. Even villains like Magneto, who aren't even the main bad guys, still carry that theme. Magneto believes humans and mutants will never live together, while Professor X believes the opposite. Humans and mutants can live together. The point here I'm trying to make is that your season should revolve around the central theme. Everything that happens, whether the bad guys, good guys, character development, should revolve around the central theme. And if it doesn't, either have it as a filler episode or cut it out completely. Now, every season should be leading towards something. Like, for example, in Infinity War, we follow a bunch of heroes trying to get a bunch of stones before Thanos, because if they don't, Thanos will wipe half of humanity. Your story needs to have a foundation, a finish line that your season can follow and pave a road towards. And for the X-Men, it's the Sentinels. It's trying to stop the Sentinels and prove to the President and the world that humans and mutants can live together. But here's the problem. Not every episode has something to do with Sentinels, and some episodes have nothing to do with the central theme. So how do they still work? I mean, we have a whole episode of Wolverine just chilling in Antarctica, or Cyclops and Jean Grey getting kidnapped by a bunch of thugs. I mean, that has nothing to do with mutants and humans or Sentinels at all. But yet, it still works. How is that possible? Well, because they do something called character development. They develop the characters in a bunch of random episodes that have nothing to do with the central theme, but at least we feel like we're getting something out of it. At least we're going towards a road. Yes, it has nothing to do with Sentinels, but it still revolves around the central theme, humans versus mutants. And even if we have a bunch of episodes like Wolverine chilling in Antarctica or Cyclops and Jean Grey getting kidnapped by a bunch of Morlocks, they still develop the characters. Wolverine likes Jean, but Jean Grey is already with Cyclops, so that hurts him and he goes on a peace journey where he eventually realizes his beef with Sabretooth is pointless and actually wants to kind of make amends, He's willing to let that go and starts to become more human than animal, if you know what I'm talking about. Same with Jean Grey and Cyclops, Storm, Rogue, all these other characters. They only have like 1 to 2 episodes of character development, but at least we feel like we're getting something. At least we're earning something. And we also have the Sentinels keeping the central theme going. We have the incident on Genosha. We have Master Mold. We have Days of Future Past, the assassination attempt on the president, etc. The central theme is still there. As well as us learning and connecting more with these characters, they both coexist at the same time in perfect harmony. So, shout out to the writers because this is actually really good. And if you want your story to both develop your characters as well as keeping the central theme around so people don't get bored, just do both at the same time. Have one character go through some character development like Wolverine going to Antarctica and have the rest of the characters dealing with the central theme. Like the whole Genosha incident revolving around Gambit, Storm, and Jubilee. Now, even with the satisfying end of the first season, there's still some things left unanswered. And you know what? That's okay. It's not okay if you do it in the final season, but it's okay if you do it in the previous seasons, the middle of the show, or like the first season. And that's actually preferred if you leave some things unanswered in like the other seasons besides the finale season. And the reason why is because it keeps viewers anticipated for what's next to come. It makes them excited for season 2, season 3, season 4, etc. Some things that are not resolved, that are later to be answered in other seasons is who is Cable, why is he here, and what is his purpose? Like, who even is Cable, And other things like Bishop's future, why is Bishop's future still cooked? Why is it still destroyed after going back in time to prevent the bad future that's yet to come? Stuff like that keeps viewers anticipated, and even at the end of season 1, they set up the next big bad for season 2, which is Mr. Sinister, but I'm not gonna get into that yet. That's gonna be for my season 2 video. Having a good introduction, alongside having a central theme with character development coexisting with the central theme of the story, as well as having some things left unanswered, cooks up a good first season, like X-Men the Animated Series. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and my season 2 video will come out soon, so hang on tight to that one. Anyways, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree with me or not. And what's your favorite season of X-Men the Animated Series? And do you think it's better than X-Men 97? Anyways, have an amazing day. See you guys later. Bye.